There is no sign of the Houthis giving up their attacks, the Iranian-funded Houthis giving up their attacks on ships, including British ships in the Red Sea. They've signalled today they will continue with these attacks because they say it's an act of self-defence, and quite why we thought a couple of strikes from the Americans and the Brits would end the whole problem when the Saudis have been attacking and bombing the Houthis for the last 8 years is beyond me. But where do we go from here? And what do we do? Because there's talk of us sending one of our two great carriers from Southampton Water. Well, I'm very pleased to be joined by Lieutenant General Jonathan Riley, retired British Army officer, military historian. The Houthis are well dug in, well organised. They can't just be taken out, can they?
Well, indeed, we and others have been having a go at them for decades. The British conducted a campaign in what was then the Aden Protectorate back in the 60s against very similar people.
Yeah.
They are very religious, very well motivated. Of course, they're now extremely well armed. They have a great barrage of Iranian-supplied weaponry, plus what they took from the Yemeni government. They have very harsh terrain, which is very remote, and just finding them is a challenge. But before you ever strike them, the Saudis, of course, spent a long time attacking them, relying almost entirely on American intelligence to do so. And I suppose you could argue that the Saudis just didn't have enough intelligence and just didn't do it big time enough or for long enough.
But it's never easy, is it? I'm assuming that this goes on for a very long time.
Well, it either goes on for a long time or we do what the Saudis did, which was to make a deal with Iran. However, that looks a bit tricky. I mean, the Saudis are in almost impossible position. The Houthi attacks are damaging the investments they're making in tourism in the Red Sea, and they're damaging their trade infrastructure there. But if they strike the Houthis, they're lining up with Israel. They're damned if they do and damned if they don't.
That isn't going to happen. Jonathan, you know, we are there with the Americans, and it's often the Brits and Americans that do get stuck in. Yep. The French, of course, want nothing to do with any of it. Should we send one of our carriers? We've got these two carriers in Southampton Water, built at a cost to the British taxpayer of a stunning £6 billion. Should we send one? And if we do, just how vulnerable would they be?
Yeah, well, you know, I have to put my hand up, I'm not a naval officer, but I personally couldn't understand the logic of doing it at a time when we were backing away from expeditionary operations and refocusing on Europe. Why do you need an expeditionary air capability?